Evening, everybody. My name is Osei. This is Farming Simulator 19, and the map is Rolling Hills. And I have bought some land with a very large field, so I've bought a very large harvester, a fairly large tractor, and a trailer. We're going to head over there with the harvester first. And we should... There we go. So this is a large American map. I'm going to be buying predominantly case equipment, I think. And we'll be buying equipment as we need it. And being as the fields are so big, we only have one of them at the moment. What I might do here is harvest this field and then buy another field that's ready to harvest. This harvester has a really nice speed, which is good because it's a long way from the store to the to our farmyard. So far I have downloaded the deck chair mod and placed that next to the farmhouse building, which isn't an active building. I've also bought a workshop and a vehicle sprayer, so we can clean everything off when we're done. As far as the map goes, it's a pre-release version from DR Modding on Facebook. And it has a few issues that I've noticed so far. And we'll go through those shortly. First things first, we'll get this thing started harvesting. I'll use a worker, although normally I don't like to. Oh. Now our farm does have a usable silo, so we will make use of that. Don't have to buy a new one or an in-game one. So what we can do here is we can offload the harvester directly to a trailer, a tipper, and then go to the farmyard and drop all the soybeans off. And once the once the field's finished, we can then take it all off to the store to sell. And that will be one of the issues. Whoops. So let's put that there. Now we need to actually fold that up. There. Unfold that. There goes the hatch on top. I thought I did already. Turn that off. Yes. Big giant harvester. Let's go. Okay. And I will set that worker. And we will beam back and get the tractor. The tractor is a Case 240 Puma. With the white tyres and wheel weights because, hey, they're manly. And then we have a 31,000 litre Joskin trailer. I could probably have gone with a bigger one, but I'm not sure our tractor could cope with it. And let's turn the flashy lights on this one. So this area here is the store, where we can pick up our stuff. There's a diesel tank over on the far side of that parking lot, and here is the one and only sell point on the map, so very easy to remember. I have put front loader attachment on the tractor, but I do not have any forks or any attachments for it at this time, but it saves fixing it later. Every single field on this map is either seeded with corn or soybeans, which kind of makes things easy and difficult. Easy because we don't have to worry about anything else when we buy in the fields. Difficult because we need both corn header and a regular cereal draper if we're going to harvest everything. Now, of course, with the soybeans, it's going to take longer to fill up the harvester because it's a low density crop, and it's going to be less trips to the store to sell it all, and it's worth quite a bit of money as well. Excuse me while I do that, and there we go, that's better. We've only got 4 pieces of equipment: the harvester, the header, the tractor and the tipper, and 1 plot of ground. The land appears to be fairly cheap on this map. I paid, I think it was 217,000 for the farm and the field. So that's kind of a good thing. The plot we've got requires both lime and ploughing. However, the field itself does have 2 stages of fertilization already on it, so that's kind of nice. Grass is being destroyed as we drive over it. I think, as you can see, I can't see it back there. I think, because I don't own this field, I'm not destroying this grass by the looks of it. Whereas this field here, I do own it, so the grass is getting destroyed as I drive across it. And here comes our harvester, which is not even halfway full. Okay, so let's pull up here. I'll turn the lights off and the engine off, and we'll jump out and let the harvester go around again before we unload it. So yes, as you can see, oh, it's no, let's run over here. Fertilized 100%, ready to harvest soybeans. No weeds, need ploughing, need lime. So we're going to have a little bit of a deficit on the yield because there's no lime and it needs harvesting. So this here is our silo, and with the cooling fans, which do make a noise, downpipe and empty area. We go around here. That's where I put the machine shop. We've got these buildings here which do nothing. There's the cleaning thing. We have this barn here. We have this shed here. And we have this barn up here, which is going to be awkward because we've got all the supporting posts in it. None of the doors work. So that's being worked on. That's why the map's a work in progress. This is decoration from Ravenport. This house completely unusable, so I bought the deck chairs so we can go to sleep. And that's basically the farmhouse. As far as the map is concerned, this is our field. This field is also ready to harvest, as is these two. This is one plot of land, this is another plot of land. So once I've got this done, I may ship at least some of the crop back to the store, sell that, and purchase another field and carry on harvesting. Meanwhile, part of the problem, the sell point is not listed, and we have no idea what the prices of anything is. So that's going to be a slight problem. That's my equipment. We've started off as a farm manager, so $1 million plus 250,000 loan. Starting off and using a new farmer on this map is not so good, because all you get is, I think, field 15 and no equipment and $100,000. So you're going to be in a big deficit trying to harvest that field. The load point for the map is here, but you don't own the farm or the land. This bit here is one full plot, so you get the farm and the building and the ground. It's kind of useful, but yeah, field 15 and $100,000. You're not going to get very far on that. Farm manager, all the buildings are present, and you have the $1 million plus 250,000 loan, and what's the other one? Start from scratch. You start off with 500,000. It's not too difficult. I mean, we go to this field, it's only 147. These two are 120. That one there's 204. But come over here, 78, 132, 102, 125. So the fields themselves are not incredibly expensive. Obviously, the larger the field, the more expensive it's going to be. In general, you have to buy the farms separate. Where's the other one? Gilcrest Farm comes with field 40. Kellogg Farm is just the farm. This one has built-in silos, this one has built-in silos, all the others don't. And then if we go to the top of the map, there is just fields up here. Anyway, let's go back to the tractor. We'll jump there because our harvester's just got back, and we're probably going to need to go and empty that now. Then once I've emptied it, I'll stick I'll leave the trailer on the field. We'll drive the tractor back to the store, because we're going to need a plough of some description here, and lime. Now, lime isn't going to take us long to do, but ploughing is going to take us an age. Seriously thinking we are going to need a lot more money to get going. Okay, there we go. Okay. I'll pull up closer. How about that? There we go. Yeah, I've never dealt with a harvester this big, especially not in Farm Sim 19. Okay, there we go. Harvester's empty. I'll take this back to the field entrance and we'll go and look up what's the next thing we want? Stuff. A plough. I think I've got most of the mods that Giants have released on the Mod Hub are loaded on this. I've also got the Measure Me, which I'm not sure Giants has made available on the Mod Hub, or Measure Help, sorry, which allows me to stick down a marker and then walk away from it, and it tells me how far away I am from the marker. Very helpful if you're doing logging, although I'm not sure there's much opportunity on this map, at least not for the big old spruce or fir trees or whatever they are. Yeah. Ploughing this field gonna take a while, I think, no matter what plough I use. Ooh. Hi Seabull and Johnny, how you doing? No, Arthur is not here. Arthur might stream. No, Arthur's day off is today. I think Simone streams later. And of all the farms here, I'm probably Murphy's, not Murphy's, the farm I've selected to start on, which is the one that the map maker intends you to start on in new farmer mode. And I'll bring up the map again. Stop here. This one down here, the Kellogg farm, family farm, also has silos on. Looks like it's going to be set up as a cow farm, but there are no functional animal buildings on this farm yet. We're getting what Arthur has. What does Arthur have? And here we are at the store. We'll probably end up buying the fuel tank to put on the farm as well at some point, but at this point our equipment doesn't, or we don't need any. So ploughs, better still, tractor. We have a 270 horsepower tractor, so that's our limit on ploughs. That's 300, that's 360, that's 500, yeah, that's not happening. So potentially, yeah, that one or that one. Or we can go for a culti-plough, which also counts as, or subsoiler, which also counts as a plough as far as what we're doing is concerned. That's a 500 horsepower, that's a 420, so we are kind of limited to one of those two. Any other options? Cultivators, disc harrows, power harrows. No, it's ploughs or subsoilers, so I'm going to have to go with, I'll go with that one. Right, yes, Okay, back. What else do I need right this minute? Nothing right now. We are going to have to come back later. I think for now we're good with what we've got. Oh, I forgot to get the... No! Forwards. There we go. Let's try that again. Let's head back to the field. So what was the other issue? Oh, the other issue with the map at the moment is fruit types. You'll see we go wheat, barley, oats, blah blah blah, down to grass, sugar cane, wheat, barley, oats, all the way down to sugar cane again. So for some reason the fruits list twice. Don't know what that's about. Once you pass that, you've got growth and soil composition. As you see, our field needs ploughing and it needs lime too. So, but it was fully fertilized before we bought it, so that's good to go. This field is ready to harvest, no fertilization, needs ploughed and needs lime, so that's going to have 2 penalties on it. This is going to have 2 penalties on it. This field's good to go, but let's check that again. Sorry, back one. All of these are good to harvest, but this one's good to go and does have fertilization and doesn't need lime or what have you. That field is still growing, so no point in that one. That's expensive, so we're kind of good, possibly looking at these 3 plots of land to start off with. It depends what the financial return on this field is as to whether we can afford the next one and the next one. Plus these are all going to need to be ploughed and they're all going to need to be limed before we put anything in the ground again. As I said, we've got, what is it, 207,000 still left over. So we've only gone into our loan for 43 so far, and there should be a lot of money coming off this field. Although, like I say, don't know how much because the store is not listed on the sale page, so we don't know the price of anything. So it's all going to be guesswork at the moment. The plan is obviously, because we need to, when harvesting happens, that harvester, in spite of the size it is not big enough to hold an entire field's worth of crop. We're just going to have to go across the bridge and then turn right. We're going to have to go keep the tractor close by with the tipper and freeze. I'm just going to unload into the silo until the field's done. Then we can figure out what to do next. I can then make multiple trips to the store. Are we there yet? No. We have a big mast there. Here we are. But as you can see, fields are quite big. Obviously some of these are, I think they're all planted, but they're not in a state of growth. Field on the right is corn and not ready. Field in front of us is looking good. So that's kind of big too. Yeah, everything is, what do you call it? Everything is soybeans or corn at the moment. Obviously there's no limit to what we can plant on any of the fields. Okay, I'll let this tractor get on with it. With the worker, I'll jump to the harvester. Oh, he's not going all the way to the edge. Oh, you're full? Yeah. Let's back up. Go find the trailer. We'll put that in until we get there. Where's the trailer? So 14,400. This is not going to fill the trailer up, but we are going to be incredibly close to full. Full trailer capacity is 31,000. Close? Nope. Just right. So obviously as the map's still being worked on, there are going to be updates and they could mess up the save game. So we'll have to be aware of that. But for now, I'm happy enough to play through this for a little while. Okay, we can pull that in. We're nearly to the edge. Oh, I need to be fast. So I just figured out, because the harvester didn't go all the way to the edge at the bottom end, the tractor's going to be ploughing up some of that crop. It would be nice to get all of it, if we can. With any other harvester, it doesn't go very fast when it's working, but it does go fairly quickly when it's not. I've got so used to the small, the Rostell Mash, the New Holland, not so much the Bison, I gave that a skip. They modded in the case, the small case harvester, and there's a mod of a more modern small New Holland, and they are all very, very slow. This is the 45-foot draper. And hi Ben Pin and JWoww. Yes, this is a new map. Actually, it was released by the author pre-release just before Christmas for people who follow his Facebook page. It's DR Modding. And you can find the map on that page, or a link to the download on that page. I've said, it's not really finished. It's in a playable state somewhat. I know some people have reported having issues. The only issues I've noticed, as I said, was the duplication of the crop list on the information page, and also the fact that the store does not show at all. So we're guessing prices, and I missed the edge of the field with the plough. So do that, we'll lift that up and swing back around. So we rescued some. We lost about 8 meters width. So the equipment we have at the moment is the Puma 240 CVX, Joskin 31,000 litre trailer, the Case IH 9240, and the 3162 Terraflex Draper 45 foot. So we're not skimping on equipment, and I really don't want to, because as I said, these are big fields and you do not want to be harvesting this with a 6 meter harvester. I think the other option was the New Holland, which also comes with a 45 foot draper, but to be perfectly honest, since I've gone a Case tractor, I figured I'd try and see if there was a harvester to go with it, and there is, so we're good on that count. Trees at the edge of the field do get in the way, and I know the smaller harvesters do have a problem sometimes on a worker on these fields. I've not looked at contracts yet. It's using large equipment is really a choice. On the it's something I noticed when we did the Friday night farm last week, was it took me 3 hours to harvest that field, and I got the smaller of the 2 John Deere harvesters, and 3 hours harvesting a field is probably doesn't make for good entertainment on YouTube or Twitch, unless you're talking about something else, of course. But also on a multiplayer farm, you don't necessarily need to have the biggest equipment available, because there's multiple people doing stuff, so you know, you can share the tasks. The problem here is it's me, and it's only me, and trees, and so I have to be aware that what I'm doing is going to take time. On Lawfolds, I don't really have that problem so much, because the farm is mature and I have so much equipment bought over the 500 hours I've been playing it. I can put stuff on a worker and really not worry about the cost of the worker either. You know, when your farm's got $600,000 in the bank, or pounds in the bank, you don't really worry too much about, oh, I've got to hire a worker, it's going to cost me $2,000. But in this situation, or at least in the situation of our farm on Friday, I've spent so much money on fields and equipment that hiring a worker is critical outlay that I can't afford right now. And obviously with the amount of equipment I have on Lawfolds, it's not such a big deal that the farm is big, the fields are fairly large for a 17 farm, but I can do a little bit of something and then I can jump to do something else. I don't have to stick with one job and see it all the way through. Is this wide enough? Oh, this is wide enough. Magic. We're going to get all of it. Yes, indeed. Now I'm thinking I might want to get another tractor, not quite as big as the one I have. To be fair, I would like one bigger, but there's no way I can afford that with the amount of money we've got left. I was thinking about doing cattle on this farm, but I would have to take out one of the fields to do it. Now I could look at that plot of ground 3 and 4 and harvest one of those fields and put a cow farm on, or cow enclosure on it. But at this point we're really not set up to go wholesale cow breeding. I probably need to concentrate on building up the equipment supply and actually turning over a profit before we move on to branching out into livestock. Yes, exactly. And Arthur's latest farm, where he's playing, is it Maypole Farm, which is a tiny English farm. He's never going to need big equipment on that, and actually that makes for possibly a more interesting sort of video experience. I know back in Farm Sim 17 when I played Old Stream Farm, biggest vehicle I had was probably a T7. No, I did get a New Holland T7, but really that was kind of extravagant for the size of the farm. Typically you could just get away with anything under 180 horsepower. Most of the equipment really needed to be 3-point hitch on the back of the tractor because of the placement of buildings and proximity to fields. But it's a good farm for one person to do because it doesn't take long to do one single task before you can move on to the next one. I need to watch here because we're nearly full. Actually, I'm going to have to stop the tractor doing what it's doing and empty the trailer, empty the tipper, and then take another load here. 14,400 I believe is the fill point. There we go. And the end comes up. So I'll reverse that back to here. And put that out. We need to jump to the tractor. And stop. And we'll drop the plough there. We'll go and get the trailer. and yeah, I mean the other thing I've said is when you're playing this game, you don't need the biggest equipment, really. If you're playing solo on your own, you're not streaming, you're not videoing it. Yeah, you could play with tiny equipment. It's not really a big deal. The only problem is the length of time it takes you to do anything. It's why a lot of people don't grow potatoes and generally don't grow beets, because the amount of time it takes one person to harvest those crops. It's more enjoyable to be doing something else, something a little bit more efficient. Like in this case, we're harvesting soybeans. I've pretty much filled up that trailer once, and we'll probably get another load from this field. I honestly couldn't say. I know the guy who's doing it has said he's got a bunch of things fixed. The buildings all need doors on. All my sheds have no doors. The sell point has issues. There's various other things need to be done with the map. It needs at least a cow farm by the looks of it. The farm across the way from here. Oops. Let's expand the map. So we're up on field 1. Just down the street south of here is Rose Acres. That looks like it could be a horse farm. But the buildings there would have to be fleshed out and set up as a horse paddock. Kellogg Family Farm, which is directly west from Rose Farm, or Rose Acres, looks like it's being set up as a cow farm. But once again, there's not enough functionality there to put cows. I have no idea how close the map is to being released or having those issues addressed. This map state was as of immediately before Christmas, and there have been no updates since then. So it's definitely not in a state where it's in the queue of 180 things to be tested by Giants. I do not believe he submitted it to Giants. I don't even know if he's planning to. But this gets you all a chance to at least see a small part of it. Let's fold that up and the header, and let's turn this thing back and carry on harvesting. Angle the camera so I can see what I'm doing, where I'm going. You can go onto Facebook to DR Modding's page, and it does say that he generally answers any queries within 24 hours. So he might have an answer to any specific questions you have. I assume it's a he. I just like the look of, the general look of the farm is very, it's much more American than Ravenport looks, shall we say. And the way he's got it set at the moment, the land is substantially cheaper than it is on the Michigan map that we were playing on Friday, and the in-game maps. So you are able to afford very large fields, and you're also able to afford very large equipment too to go with it. Although I have probably skimped a bit on the tractor. It's only 280 horsepower, which as a starting tractor is quite big, but as a tractor for this kind of size of farm, I could probably do with something in the 350 to 400 range, to be perfectly honest. But that's something for us to work towards. At the moment, we've got to make income from the farm, and so the more fields I can have with the least equipment, that should be the way to go, at least for the immediate future. Once we start raking in a reasonable amount of cash, we can show that we can pay down the loan. We can start looking at expanding the equipment we've got. But this is going to be one harvester, one tractor for a short while at least. And so that tractor's going to be overworked. Can kind of tell the speed that this harvester is chomping through this crop, and then the speed the tractor is ploughing the field. It's going to be a while before it catches up. And I should probably go along the edge here again, because the farmyard is a little bit close to the edge of the field. I'm not going to have a turnaround space here like I do by the road. We'll go to the end. Yeah, it's still wider than it is long, so we'll go up to the end, we'll turn around, come back again. Or should I just go square? I'll just get to the end and then go up and down. We'll see. We've got to be careful about how full the grain tank gets, and have the pipe on the right side. Now the map itself is very minimal in what's available. There's one store, there's one sell point. I'm assuming you can sell everything there, although I haven't seen anywhere to sell grass, hay, straw, and we don't know if that can be sold at the store or at the sell point. Yes. Well, I've shown that in Lawfolds. I have two very big tractors, in excess of 320 horsepower. I think 380 horsepower actually. I've got a couple of mid-sized tractors and two small tractors, just to keep up with all the various jobs and what have you around the farm. I have one big harvester, although I could probably do with two now. Just because of the number of fields I have and how much work needs to be done. I'm probably going to need some more tippers before long. If I get two harvesters, I will. Because I'm going to need a tractor and at least one tipper to service each of them. happening. Wages. Oops. And this map, if I bought all the fields, I would need a lot of very large equipment, and possibly a small amount of small equipment. There's a couple of fields out there that aren't particularly large, and we could get away with possibly need smaller harvester, smaller tractor to service those fields. Now I do have access to the Case 1455, is it? Which is a fairly cheap small tractor, and could probably cope with that plough that we have without too much stress. And once we've finished this field on the harvester, I am going to need to get the tractor out and haul a lot of this to sale, so that I can at least see how much money we're making off this field. But the field itself is penalised from lack of ploughing and lack of lime, so it's not the absolute best that we can get out of it. It will give us an idea. One's big, two's not quite as big. Or we could look further up the road. I believe 11 was ready, although that's also not quite as big. Probably about the same size as 2. 10's not ready, 5 and 6 aren't ready. 12's small. But there's also those fields up to the north, 31, 32. They're kind of big, but they have ditches and culverts around them, which can make it a little bit more tricky for a large harvester to get around. Guessing I can probably make it down the bottom, but we're then going to need to empty this thing again. Oh, that's good. That'll be nice. So that'll help. Especially if there's a sell point on this side of the map, because at the moment I have to drive the full width of the map to get to the sell point from this point. Not really. I don't think the... Oh, shoot! Not paying attention. Just killed some of the crop. The hitch on this is right underneath there, so it's not easy to attach a tipper. And number 2, the auger has to be out to the side in order to empty it, so it's not really convenient to haul a tipper behind, because I would have to drop the tipper off and move the harvester around in order to get the auger out over the tipper. But the head, you know, the hitch on that tipper isn't very long, so I'll probably end up fouling the harvester with it. See, operating position for the auger is there. Probably need to move a little bit forward. Done. For me, I normally don't play big American maps. I usually limit myself to UK or European maps, which tend to be a tad, a fair bit smaller. The fields tend to be fenced, or walled, or surrounded by hedges. So, using equipment this size, I've never really been able to. So this is a whole change of pace for me as well. I also don't use case very often. And I think that same with New Holland. The problem with the equipment, harvesting equipment for New Holland and case, is it's either really big or really small, and there's nothing in the middle. And conversely, with Massey Ferguson and Fendt in Farm Sim 17, they had some nice mid-sized. Well, they were actually the same vehicle, just one painted red, one painted green, but they have some nice mid-sized harvesters, which work for most reasonable-sized farms. And so if you're going to keep a manufacturing theme, you're predominantly going to be a Fendt farm or a Massey Ferguson farm. Unless you're going for the huge farm like this, where you could do a New Holland or case, or a tiny farm where you could use a New Holland or a case. And a Fendt or Massey Ferguson would be considered a large harvester for the size of fields you're doing. So I'm going to try and stick to case tractoring equipment, motorized equipment at least. Obviously you don't get the other equipment that you need. To zoom in again because tree. Once we're rolling, we can zoom out again. There's no tree. That's a shame. We didn't get it all in. Okay. I haven't checked out any of Stevie's stuff, I must admit. I generally don't have a lot of time to check stuff out, but I don't even know how I found out about this one. But, there we go. Back up and finish that one off. Definitely got more than the trailer can handle. Silos on this part of the farm of 400,000 litres, which is going to be very helpful. And that's the harvest done. Yay. Yes, there is still some room. And now there isn't. I'll fold that in and take that over to